Welcome back to the Recipe Analyst, where I review different recipes. Today we're going to be looking at Circassian Chicken Salad from the Zaytinya Cookbook. To start off, I'm going to go ahead and make some chicken. Of course, you can save your time with chicken that you already have or rotisserie chicken, but I just wanted to go ahead and make my own since I have this whole chicken that I did buy for this recipe. Alright, since I'm using a whole chicken, I'm gonna have to check that cavity for other chicken parts like this. And then just do a double check, make sure there's nothing left in there. Then I'm gonna go ahead and season it with some salt. I'm using kosher salt here. And I would say go ahead and season it liberally just to make sure that all of the chicken gets a good amount of salt, especially since we're seasoning this right before we bake it. Going a little heavier will definitely make sure more of the chicken gets some salt. Next, I'm gonna use some korma seasoning, which I think is a Indian inspired mix. I know this recipe is supposed to be more Mediterranean, but I think this will go well with the other flavors. Now we're just gonna let that bake for about an hour to an hour and a half. Just make sure that the temperature's good once you take it out. Next, I'm gonna work on the turmeric pickled raisin liquid. I only had about a quarter cup of the white wine vinegar, so I'm gonna adjust all of my measurements accordingly. So that's the white wine vinegar, some salt, sugar, and then of course the turmeric, or turmeric, depending on how you want to say it. It's spelled with an R right after the U, so I know a lot of people say turmeric. So we're going to put that on the stove to come to a boil. And while that's coming to a boil, I'll go ahead and measure out the raisins. I'm just going to start with 2 tablespoons, like the recipe says. I didn't adjust the amount for that. Next, we're going to get our cilantro ready. I'm going to give it a quick rinse and dry it off. Just give it a pretty good chop. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of cilantro. Next, I'm going to work on the garlic. There, I was trying not to hit the knife with my bracelet. I'm going to peel it and then just chop it up. Just make it a pretty fine chop. We're going to end up putting this into a food processor, so it doesn't really matter how consistent it is here. Don't forget the pickling liquid. Want to make sure the salt and sugar are dissolved and it's not boiling already. Looks like it'll take a few more minutes. Next, I'm going to go ahead and chop the walnuts. So I'm using roasted walnuts, and the recipe says to roast the walnuts. But since these are already roasted, I'm going to skip that step. But if I'm being honest, I totally forgot that the recipe said to roast the walnuts, but I think I could get away with it since these were technically already roasted. So now that that pickling liquid is boiling, I'm just going to pour it over the raisins and just set that aside to cool off, and we're not going to be using that until the end as a garnish pretty much. Okay, now the chicken is done. Well, we're going to check the temperature to make sure it's done. We're looking for 165, and yep, it's well over 165, so it's safe to eat. A lot of people would say that it's overcooked. I think if you're just eating it as is, yeah, it might be a little bit dry. But since we're putting it into a chicken salad, I think we'll be good. So after shredding the chicken up, we're gonna have 4 cups, and whatever is left, I'm just gonna use for something else, or probably just eat it on its own once I'm done with this chicken salad. All right, now it's time to soak the panko breadcrumbs. So that's a half a cup of breadcrumbs and a cup of milk. We're gonna let that sit for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, we're gonna add the cilantro, walnuts, garlic, and the freshly ground black pepper. Then we're just gonna let that process until smooth. While that's processing, I decided to go ahead and season the chicken with a little extra salt, just to make sure it's well seasoned. Give that a mix. Then once that sauce is smooth, pour it over the shredded chicken. Then just mix it until well combined. To make this a little bit easier on yourself, you probably want to use a bigger bowl than what I'm using. And then at the end of this step, you should go ahead and taste it just to make sure that it's seasoned well. If it's not, you can always add some more salt. That's what season to taste mean. Just season it until it tastes good to you. After mixing it, we're just gonna let it sit and chill out in the refrigerator for about an hour. And in that hour, it's time to clean up. Right before we're ready to dig in, pretty much, we're gonna prepare our lettuce. So for this recipe, we're supposed to use sweet gem lettuce, but I wasn't able to find that, so I'm using this butterhead lettuce instead. Just gonna give it a quick rinse and dry it off with some paper towels. After doing some research, apparently sweet gem lettuce is a variety of romaine lettuce. So that's a lot easier to find. So if you can find that, you can use that instead. Now we're ready to assemble it all. Just gonna spoon the chicken salad onto each leaf after giving it a quick mix if you want to, just for peace of mind. Spoon a pretty good amount on each leaf. Then drizzle it with some olive oil. You can add some flaky sea salt on top, and then finish it off with those pickled raisins. This recipe also says you can use some candied walnuts, which is a recipe that I made before. You can check it out on the blog. I just didn't feel like making it today. And you could also top it off with the remaining cilantro that we chopped up earlier. And that's the Circassian chicken salad. So what do I think of it? I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty refreshing. I think it's a different take on chicken salad, one that doesn't use mayonnaise. So I was really able to taste the chicken a lot better, even the cilantro and the walnuts. The textural contrast was pretty good with the lettuce, the chicken, and some of those walnut pieces. And the raisins gave a little bit of sweetness. So I think if you're looking for a healthier version of a chicken salad, I think you should definitely give this one a try. Anyway, thanks for watching, and you can check out a more in-depth analysis at the blog at recipeanalyst.com.